All right, YouTube, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel for a brand new Star Wars video. Now, obviously, in the last few days, we had a brand new Obi Wan Kenobi trailer. That's what we're going to be talking about today. I am here with my buddy Jack. Jack, how's it going?
Oh, it's going absolutely fantastic, man. How are you?
Good, good. So guys, what we were going to do in this video, the kind of idea that we had, instead of just doing a breakdown or a reaction trailer like everybody's doing, Jack and I wanted to pull up the trailer for you guys and go through it and kind of discuss our thoughts on what makes the new Obi Wan Kenobi trailer so amazing and has everybody talking about it all over Twitter, all over the internet. People are going crazy. So we're going to go through the trailer in a second. Jack is going to bring some insight from, I guess, the film and media world that he knows from his work, and it's a different perspective. So it's a different type of video. It's something we haven't done before. So feedback is always welcomed. Make sure you drop it down in the comments if you like this style of video, because we will do it for more if you guys do. With that said, let's jump straight into the trailer and start to talk. All right, let's jump straight into the trailer, and we'll obviously pause as we go along. And Jack, you and I discuss it a little bit.
Yeah, let's get it.
Okay, so obviously starting off on the sands of Tatooine, we get a shot of Kenobi riding his space camel.
We lost.
Alright, I'm going to stop it like right here just because I feel like the first thing that jumps out to me is that we've seen Tatooine so many times about Star Wars, but why does it look so good this time around compared to every other time we've seen it? Like the scenery for something that we've seen so much of, because it's been in every form of Star Wars so far, they find a way to make it look amazing. Am I bugging, or is that just like that's just me?
No. I definitely agree with you. First of all, yeah, the whatever they did to make Tatooine look the way it does right now is fantastic. Like, I don't know, it's like it's always looked good.
It has a different
Like
feel
this,
to it.
yeah, it's like it's cloudy. It's like color graded differently. Like it's, at least for the trailer, it's like a little bit like it's a little bit gray. Like it's just, you get that like sense of like, ooh,
They've
it
made it
just sets a
feel
mood.
eerie. Like it definitely
Yeah,
feels
exactly.
like something's about to happen. I think that does a really good job setting up the mood of what can. So just wanted to touch on that.
100%.
Not something we have
And
to dive into.
I want to talk about that because we're going to talk about the music more in a minute. But the beginning,
Yeah.
if you skip back to the beginning, the very beginning, and just hit play. That right there. Stop
The little
doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
That's so Star
That right
Wars.
there, dude. It's so like, I get the like the music in the trailer is fantastic, but that little moment right there, like every Star Wars fan hears that and they're like,
It's like, yeah, it's almost like,
I'm so ready for this shit.
yeah, it is. It really is like, I don't know what it is about that sound, but it's like, something exciting is coming. Do you know what I mean? Like that. That's like that setup for something else. And we'll talk about the music quite a bit throughout this trailer, and there's one bit specifically that I know everyone is talking about. So yeah, we'll keep going, but yeah, that's definitely a good point to touch on. That's such a Star Wars like sound.
Oh yeah.
The fight is done. We lost.
The music is so good, man. Oh my god.
Now, all right, let's stop here because we need to talk about this really quickly.
You were bugging on this
one. I know this is like baby Luke, and I shouldn't be making fun of him, but why is he hitting the whip? Like, I know he's meant to be hitting like a speeder movement, but he said, "Watch me whip."
literally, you go before we start recording. Twisted goes, "Do you see Luke hit the whip?"
It didn't click in your head until I said it either, but now everyone's gonna say, exactly. Watch this, dude. Watch this. Just watch. He said, "Now watch me whip." Dude, Dude, I can't. I can't. It's so
Look
funny.
at Ewan, bro. Look at Ewan, man.
How
What
good does he look?
what a guy, man. I mean, just what a guy,
Like
right?
Daddy Kenobi in full essence is all out in this trailer. And
Zaddy Kenobi.
Zaddy Kenobi, everyone's loving it. But yeah, like this scene, I guess, with Kenobi watching over Luke, as you can see their lips in the back. It definitely just shows like everything that we wanted to see previously. It's that whole kind of, we knew old Ben in episode 4 was watching over Luke at an older age, but like we knew he'd been watching over him for years because of what we saw in the end of Rebels, where he fights Maul on Tatooine and then he's got Luke as a baby. So this kind of like bridges the gap between those two moments, which I think is really cool. Shows just how committed he was to protecting Luke and to keeping an eye on him, even if he did have to watch him do the whip. So it's definitely a cool little like thing to see here as time develops through the Star Wars timeline.
Stay hidden.
Yeah.
And it is. It's just that like father figure that he always was to, I guess, Luke / Anakin.
He's doing what he said he was gonna do.
He's doing exactly what we
He's watching it happen.
got him to do. And this is something that happens in Star Wars a lot. Like, especially recently, like what we all wanted to see, we're finally getting to see all of it come to screen, and all the speculations that people have is starting to actually come to screen. Like it's the same with Book of Boba Fett, where we were like, oh yeah, like we think he survived the Sarlacc pit. And then like Book of Boba Fett gets announced and we're like, okay, he did survive the Sarlacc pit. He got out and this is what he done. We knew Kenobi was on Tatooine the whole time. We knew he was watching over Luke, and now seeing it again on the screen. So really cool point on there. We'll keep going. I'm going to stop right there. That's where I'm stopping. All right, we're talking about the music again.
You stop too much. Have you watched the trailer? I mean, have you watched the trailer?
I didn't even like let the sound play because all I have to hear is those first two notes, and we know exactly what that music is. We've heard it before. It's so iconic. Duel of the Fates coming into this trailer. Literally, I had the biggest grin on my face the first time I watched the trailer, and this music come. So you were the same because we did talk.
Yeah.
What a way to set it up, really.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I was telling you before, I was waiting and resting in between my third and my last set on the bench press the other day.
Yeah.
And I watched this trailer, and this part came on, and holy, bro! I mean, it got me amped up. Dude, it's crazy.
Especially
man.
because like the music prior to this is quite slow and somber, and it fades out, and then you just get hit with those first two notes, and you're like, oh!
You're just like, shit's about to get real.
Like,
just let it rock.
Dude.
The key to hunting Jedi.
All right, let's freeze here real. Turn it up. One thing I want to touch on, I love the way that Lucasfilm disappears with the sand effect, almost like it's like being blown away on Tatooine, but Inquisitor ship, and then we get this next scene of obviously some sort of like base, and we see a shot of course, no one else, none other and Inquisitor, and that the Inquisitors are themed throughout the trailer. Obviously, they are the ones sent to hunt down the remaining Jedi after 66 Kenobi. So I think this is going to be something to all of Kenobi, like the whole time. The Grand Inquisitor has been portrayed a certain way. It wasn't something we were talking about before. The kind of reaction that the Star Wars community has had to his obviously the race that he has previously been portrayed a little in Kenobi, but everyone seems to be freaking out about it. And I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, I think he looks cool. Sure, his head's more narrow in the Clone Wars, but like, I don't know how CGI works. I'm sure they could have done it. It may have been more difficult, but I think he looks fine, like, in my opinion.
I agree. I think there are a few tweets I've read. Look, there there's a few tweets I've read on the Twitter verse
Right.
that like
Such an
make subtle
educated
changes
place, by the way.
subtle changes to him that I think are dope, right? But like this trailer and the implications of what's happening in this trailer and the story that's about to be told are so great and so incredible. And the fact that one of the biggest things that people are talking about are this
His
guy's head
head.
shape is like to me just like doesn't make sense. Like I
Right.
get it, right? Like people got their own opinions, people feel how they
Of
want to
course,
feel,
yeah, yeah.
whatever. Do your thing. But like I like this trailer because it's Star Wars. I've been watching Star Wars all my life. I don't give a I don't
Like,
give a
the
damn
thing for
what
me
this guy's
though, like,
head looks like. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well, that's the thing.
Like
Like, we still knew who it was. Like, we figured out it was the Grand Inquisitor. Like, the shape of his head
that's
did
what I'm
not
saying.
change anything. Like, you still know exactly who that is when he pops up on screen. So, Twitter, it drives me nuts sometimes. That's why I don't use it that often.
Bro, I'm not gonna go into the whole rant that I went on earlier, but like I don't understand like I get it to some degree, right? But like I think people are I don't know. It's just weird to me that like
People are just
this
looking
is
for
even a
something to
thing that
pick
we're
on.
talking about.
People are just
I
looking for
don't
something to
know.
pick on.
It's
They did the
weird.
same thing with Cad Bane in Book of Boba Fett. It's sure
Yeah,
his teeth look different than what they did in the Clone Wars. Like, who cares? It's still Cad Bane.
bro.
Like, you still know who it is. He's the same character. Like, I
Yeah,
get it. You can
portrayed
make a comment
differently.
on it, but like that's like move on. You don't have to get upset for like a couple of days about it. Just
And wouldn't you like they took some creative liberty. So let's talk about that for a second. They took some creative liberties and made some creative decisions for this character in particular. For some reasons, one or another, that that they made this decision. This
yeah,
was a decision. If you were online thinking that these producers and makeup artists
don't
didn't
talk
have a
about it.
meeting
Yeah,
and looked at the previous existence of the same race and of the cartoon versions, then you're totally missing the boat.
right.
There were probably multiple meetings of people sitting down and talking about how is this guy going to look? Why is he going to look the way he does? How his appearance going to fit into our story, right? Like
But we
that
also the
that is a
thing we also don't
that's
know
a
like
discussion that happens. That's a discussion that happens about makeup, about camera angles, about what frame rate you're shooting at, about the lighting, about the color. Every single aspect of a production like this has those conversations about how because we all process it as the creative story, the creative vision, the end product. But there's work that goes into that. It's not just, damn, we forgot to give him yellow CGI eyes. Sorry, our bad.
well we
We have
also
two
don't
months to
know
fix it
like
to make the fans happy. You know what I
yeah, like
mean?
we don't know
Like
if
it's
this is
different.
from the final cut. Like that's the thing. Like what happens if they're just using this for the trailer and then when he actually rocks up in the show, they've CGI'd his face to be now as a result. Like nobody knows that what is going on. This may be the final version, but I mean, like I said before, you can still tell it's him to be discussed
And
past
and,
that point.
and yeah, man, like all that to say, like complain about it if you want, sure. Or, like your opinion is your opinion, but like I think you're missing the
Yeah,
point of what's going on, and a lot of people's knowledge is very limited. I'm not saying everybody's, but a lot of people's knowledge, and I'm not saying I'm better or anything like that, but
you kind
like
of are, but
you're missing. I don't know. I think there's a certain
and people
magic.
are looking into it too much.
I think there's a certain magic to Star Wars that people just like miss with all this technical stuff. Like, have you seen Episode 4? That shit sucks. Lasers are like TIE fighters are little figurines. They're flying through the
and
camera.
the
Like,
choreography just has them throwing random 360s in lightsaber duels. Like, it's,
yeah, right? Like what?
so
Like, we're
much
not
happens. Yeah,
but that's still one of the best Star Wars stories of all time.
absolutely.
So why, like, let's like hone in on that. Why do we love Star Wars? Let's hone in on that. Like, what is it? Like, I don't know. I don't know.
And
I don't
I
know.
feel
I'll
like
get
more
off the
people should have been
soapbox.
looking at the good parts of this trailer, not making fun of dude's head. But We'll move
I
on. We'll
agree.
keep going. We can talk about this.
We'll move
forever.
on. We'll
You
move
want.
on.
Jedi cannot help what they are.
Again, a couple of things to touch on here. The first thing that you mentioned to me as well that you really liked about this trailer when we were talking about it before is the voiceover.
Yep.
We'll play this through and we'll freeze it back, but
Yep.
just let's listen to the voiceover that comes following this part.
Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi Code is like an itch. He cannot help it. Where is he?
All right, we'll freeze there and we'll go back because a lot to break down in that kind of section there. But it's obviously the Grand Inquisitor doing the voiceover, and that's something that you commented on that you really like. So go into that a little. What was it about the movie?
So I'm gonna preface all that by saying the audio in this trailer is fantastic. And that's something that a lot of people don't think about, but it's one of the main senses, right? So like everything audio wise about this trailer is absolutely incredible. So I mean the music, sound effects, the voiceover, and how those things fit together
Blended.
are and blended together are very, very incredible. And specifically, the sound effects are always fantastic in this modern Star Wars stuff, but specifically the music and the voiceovers. And so to touch on the voiceovers, like the way the the lines they chose, first of all, you have to credit the writers and you have to credit the audio engineers
100%. Yeah.
because the person who wrote that, I mean, they deserve a raise. Like what? Like there's this whole idea about like the Jedi are wrong, the Jedi aren't doing the right thing. Like look how the Jedi are weak. Like look at this big universe. You thought they were the heroes, they're not. How sick
Right.
is that?
And the
Right?
bit
And
specifically that you loved was the Jedi Code is like an
yes.
itch. Like,
Oh my god.
oh,
The
that
Jedi
just
code is like
hit
an itch.
different. Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, I thought the Sith were evil. I thought like they couldn't help themselves. I thought they were the evil guys. But like the Inquisitor is like, no, 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 no. Like the Jedi code is like an itch, and then he's like, he leaves a trail wherever he goes, and then it's like, oh my god, it's like these are ruthless assassins, man. These are not. This is no Knights of Ren shit, right? I mean, these
He's
guys
a
are
proper
awesome.
trained, like ex
Yes,
Jedi type character.
these guys are on some different levels. I think it just like sets this eerie, like, oh my god, like what
It
is
does. It
going
just
on?
it puts a dark
The
tone over the whole
whole
thing.
that whole section of voiceover is so good. The lines they chose, the writing,
The pacing, everything.
the reverb, yeah, and the pacing of when it happens and how it blends with the music, like all of it's so good, man. And it just it creates and you can't even see any of it, but
Right.
it creates this atmosphere. And that's one of the things like when I watch the trailer, like none of the visuals are that crazy, right?
Right. Of
And
course.
that's fine because it's like one, it's a TV show. Two, like they probably don't want to show a ton, you know, in the trailer, right? Because there's probably a lot of shit
Well, it
that
is
happens
still
I
a
don't want to talk
teaser.
about.
Yeah.
But like
It hits.
the audio is crazy, and they know that. Like this is all by design, and that's the point I'm trying to hit home. Like the score, the voiceover, how it's created, how it's crafted, like this is all by design, and you don't need to see like a bunch of lightsaber fights and Mustafar exploding to
Yeah.
feel the same thing you felt when, you know, Anakin and Obi Wan were fighting, and we'll get to that part in a second. But like Order 66 is happening, like
Yeah.
all this stuff from like the prequel kid comes back up, and you're like, holy shit, like it's happening again. Like what's going on? I've never seen some of these guys before,
Yeah.
and so
And that's
that's
one
like,
thing as well. Like as you mentioned that, like looking at this exact frame that's on screen right now, we're obviously seeing some sort of meeting between the Inquisitors. We see the fifth brother. Obviously, the helmet is a clear indicator that that is the fifth brother. We know we've seen him before in Rebels and throughout. So the question remains is from the Inquisitors we've seen so far, and I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we've seen either of these other two Inquisitors, unless, which is something that we spoke about before, it is a unhelmeted version of the Seventh Sister. But in saying that, I'm not 100% sure, but I think these could potentially be two new Inquisitors. The one on the left definitely doesn't look. The one on the right could be. I'm not sure, but you know, we know of 10 Inquisitors already that make up the Inquisitorius. We've seen the Grand Inquisitor. Obviously got, you know, Second Sister and those that are Jedi Fallen Order. We've never seen the third or fourth Inquisitor. Well, from my knowledge, I haven't read all the comics and done all of that, but I know a few of the Inquisitors have been in the comics, but I don't think the third or fourth have really been mentioned. So could these two potentially be 3 and 4? Could it make up the last of the 10 Inquisitors that we haven't seen yet? It's, you know, again, that's Star Wars. Like, there's a mystery there, and they're finally answering it. It's something to make us all excited and super pumped to see it happen and unfold on screen.
Yeah.
But let's keep going. Like, obviously, we were talking a little bit about this voiceover.
Leaves a trail.
And again, familiar face here in Uncle Owen, right? So Big O, Uncle Owen. Yeah, sort of obviously in a bit of a pickle, right? An Inquisitor has shown up on Tatooine, and he's like, and his face says it all. His face says it all in this. He's like, I'm in some shit. he's like, I know what's going on. I know why they're here. Like, what do I do? Just
right.
in a state of like almost panic, but like trying to keep his composure to not give anything away while he's here. And again, even just something as simple as this scene, this is some Batman shit right here. Like the way she kneels down and she just is stalking her prey. Like that's this scenery, and I guess the cinematics of this shot, and I'm not a professional, you could probably add to this, just creates such a vibe. Like
I think it's I think they build upon really well some of the ideas we've already discussed. Like these guys, you guys are hunters, these guys are killers, and you can tell, and you know probably from the teaser trailer, or at least what they want you to think, said they're going after Kenobi, and so it's like this shot right here. I like that you brought that up because it is like on the rooftop, like where's she at, and then it kind of sets the scene for the rest of it. But yeah, it's some Batman shit, some Assassin's Creed shit,
like a stalking her prey, like
with the lightsaber.
Right, exactly.
You know, so
crazy scenery throughout this whole trailer. Like I just
the Jedi code is like an itch. He cannot help it. Where is he?
All right. I know people flame the Inquisitors for the rotating lightsabers, but I think it's sick.
Pretty sick.
I think it's
pretty sick.
I understand why, because in Rebels, when they use them, they literally use them as a helicopter to fly around. That's kind of funny.
I think it's pretty dumb.
It's kind of cringe, like kind of corny, but this
it's
in
Star
this
Wars,
sense,
man. Like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
But in this sense, where he's using it to threaten, intimidate someone, I think it's done really, really well, and I like the rotating lightsaber. So I don't know. That's just my.
Where is he?
Now, this is one more thing that we should touch on here is we assume, and it does look like it's Kenobi. It's a pistol here, but he obviously hasn't had his lightsaber or used his lightsaber, and he's trying to stay low key, so probably wouldn't keep it on him in this sort of situation. So for him to have been discovered by said Inquisitor, he's obviously in a predicament because he's trying to fight a lightsaber with a blaster. He's not, you know, he's at the disadvantage. So he's got to pull off something pretty crazy to escape this, which, you know, we know he does. So again, something that's just building towards a bigger picture and building towards what could be a really cool scene going into the show. That kind of wraps up the trailer. And, you know, the last shot they kind of give us is Obi-Wan with this look of concern. He obviously knows what's coming. He knows he's, you know, going to have to defend himself and Luke alike. Needs to defeat or at least escape these Inquisitors to a point where they're not going to find him. You know, he's genuinely concerned. I think that really sets up the tone. We've talked about that through Eddie, but I think it's fantastic. And the way the music fades out and ends towards it, and Kenobi comes up on screen, and the Disney Plus with the lightsaber going through, I think that's all just such great additives that they've put in here to kind of wrap up the trailer, essentially.
And I want to mention real quick too, like they use Duel of Fates, but they also use, is that Anakin's, what's that song called? It's the Mustafar.
Yes, yeah, I know what you're talking
I don't know what the track is called. But please let me know in the comments if you do know. But when that track kicks in, like I like Duel of Fates. I love Duel of Fates.
We all do.
but I like that track better.
Yeah.
To be honest, like when that kicks in, I'm like, that's when I feel it, man. That's when like my 8-year-old self is like,
right.
Oh boy, like this whole trailer is just like, oh my god, like what's going on? What's going on? Some may call it fan service, man. That's cool. Like, I think,
but that's what this whole thing is. That's what Star Wars
because
is now.
you know where the story ends up,
right?
And look, I don't want every single piece of Star Wars media to be just like a fan servicey thing. I would love to see a whole new slew of movies, a whole new TV show based upon all new characters in a whole new area of the universe that we've never seen, with new aliens, with new characters, new lightsabers, whatever it is, like whatever that may be. I think they could do some incredible things. But with something like this, like where Obi-Wan ends up, where a lot of these Inquisitors end up, like Darth Vader ain't gonna die. So like, what's so intriguing about that to me is like, what are they gonna do with the story? Because even taking on this project in the first place puts them in a position to maneuver around those things.
Right.
Like a lot of media, just a lot of media in general, use the tension of, is somebody gonna die or somebody gonna stay alive? Yeah. He's gonna stay alive, right?
Well, that's the thing. Like it's like that with a few characters
he's
as
gonna
well.
stay
Like
alive.
this obviously takes place pre-Rebels because we see the fifth brother gets killed in Rebels, which means we know that the seventh sister's still alive, so she's going to be potentially in this as well. Does the second sister show up? Does the ninth sister show up? Do we see the 10th brother? Do we see any of those other Inquisitors that weren't actually in the trailer? Like, the trailer did a great job of giving us everything we wanted, but still leaving us with so many questions.
Exactly.
It built up the hype, which is what you want. And I think it was executed perfectly, but it also left us wanting more. And I think that's the sign of a really good teaser trailer, especially because that's the point. It's to tease and to leave us wanting more. And I think absolutely perfect. Between music, the scenery, the characters, people that we saw throughout the trailer, the build up to the story, all of those things just made such a great.
Yeah, man. And honestly, if they didn't release another trailer, well, it comes out like May 25th, right?
Yes. Yeah, May.
If they didn't release another trailer, I'd be okay with that. Like if the first episode just dropped, like and this was the only thing, we didn't see any more. Like,
well, you know what they'll do though. What they'll do is they'll go May the 4th, put out a full trailer on May 4th, leading into the release on May 20th. I think that's what we can expect to see a full trailer on. And
that's what the marketing team.
Well, one other thing to mention as well that we actually noticed just before starting this podcast, this is still #1 on trend.
It has been for 24 hours.
That's what I mean. Like almost like 8.5, over 8.5 million views within the first day. Like,
isn't that crazy? I don't know. I would love to know the stats of like the Force Awakens.
Right.
Like that trailer. I wonder how long that stayed on trending. Yeah. Because that was definitely #1 on trending. There's no way that one wasn't.
Yeah, well, it's the first Star Wars movie in however many years. Like, it was.
Yeah.
Easy, like. But again, yeah, while you look that up, number one on trending for so long is such a big thing to kind of come across, and it just shows the amount of people that want to see this story told. We've wanted to know what Kenobi's been doing. It's on Tatooine. Was looking after. We wanted to know if the Inquisitors came after him, someone came missing. Now the question is, are we going to see Vader? Which I'm assuming, yes, we probably will, because we know Hayden Christensen is returning. What kind of form are we going to see Vader in? How powerful is he going to be? Because this is really prime Vader time, where it's set in the timeline. I feel like
It's just like Rogue One Vader.
This could be some really interesting. Exactly, it's like Rogue One Vader, essentially. Probably a little bit before that, but still in his prime. Still probably the most powerful version of Vader we'll see in this show. It just depends on how much we're going to see him. Will he and Kenobi cross paths? Will they end up having some kind of duel or battle somewhere, or is it all going to be based around, the Inquisitors hunting Kenobi and Vader kind of puppet master from the background, just guiding them and directing them, as he was in Rebels for the majority of Ahsoka. So it's a lot of questions, a lot to go through.
It looks like the Force Awakens teaser was viewed around 50 million times in the first 24 hours.
Oof.
And
Yeah.
that's probably not just on the official Star Wars channel. It's probably on all the channels combined.
Yeah.
But
that's
so
ridiculous.
Obi-Wan is not there, but
that's
a
lot of views, man. Either way, like, yeah, obviously the Force Awakens being the first Star Wars, however many years, was going to build hype and was going to get people excited. And I remember watching the trailer and you see Finn light up that lightsaber, like you think it's going to be crazy, and then everyone gets excited. So there's definitely different levels to this, as well as like movie to TV series. But I definitely agree. Force Awakens, crazy amount of. This is still a crazy amount of views too.
And I like really encourage, like, before we hop out of here, like, encourage everybody to like go into the show just loving Star Wars. Like, there will be critiques and that will be good, and like have your opinions, but like I think something we've really lost in the modern age of Star Wars is where the love comes from in the first place. And like, just let yourself love it. If you don't love it, that's fine. I'm not saying you have to, but like, just let yourself love Star Wars for why you love Star Wars. Like, I don't know. I don't have much more to say than that. Like,
it is. No, you're 100% right. Like too many people going in like with expecting to compare it to something else. And every time some form of Star Wars comes out, I go into it to watch it as its own thing. So people say, "Oh, did you like the prequels or the original trilogy better, or did you like the sequels better?" Like, this argument always comes up, and I'm like, every time I watch them, if I watch them for what they are in themselves, then I enjoy them much more than if I was to watch them comparing them to a different trilogy. So the first time I saw each of the sequel movies, I enjoyed it. It was new Star Wars. It was a different story. It was one of those things where I watched it for it, and I didn't watch it going, okay, that's A New Hope. You just repeated A New Hope story. Like, if I did that the whole time, I wouldn't have enjoyed it. And obviously there are things that I don't like about the sequel trilogy, and the more you watch it, the more you pick that up. But again, like, if you're going into watching Kenobi the first time expecting it to be something else, you're only setting yourself up for disappointment. Keep an open mind, watch it for what it is, enjoy it when you're watching it. You're going to enjoy it a lot better. And like you said, watch it for Star Wars, man. Watch it because the music's incredible.
Exactly.
Watch it because the scenes are incredible. The characters are incredible. I'm sure if there ends up being a lightsaber duel at some point, it's going to be incredible. Like, all the things that make Star Wars is why you need to watch this, and not just because I'm watching this so I can pick it apart and find what's wrong with it. It's the wrong mindset to go into watching something new.
Yeah. Just keep an open mind. I just think there's a lot of negativity, and so I just want to, like, just push that. Like, if you love it, man, go into it loving it, and have a good time. And if you don't, that's okay. But yeah, it's just at the end of the day, man. Like you said, Star Wars, man. Like, love it. Have a good time with it. Like, it's this is a place for years and years and years that human beings literally have gone to, like, explore, like, the creativity in their mind, and has infused itself into all facets of life. Um, so like, man, if his head looks wrong and that pisses you off, you can write about it on Twitter, but have a good time
Like,
with the Star
don't
Wars at
let that
least. You know?
ruin the whole show. It's kind of what we're
Yeah.
saying. Like, don't let the appearance of one person's head like ruin the entire show for you. Don't let that be the main attention when this show is being aired. Like it for the story. It's way to go. With
Mhm.
with how long, like wrapping up with how long we've actually taken to talk about this, is probably going to end up full podcast form. We will eventually get it out onto Spotify, so I think I may upload the YouTube version first.
How long has it been?
35 minutes.
Oh my god.
So, like, the fact that we spent 35 minutes talking about a 1
Wait,
minute
then a minute and a
40
half.
a minute 40 trailer, like, there's obviously going to be a lot to talk about going forward.
Oh,
This may end up, full podcast version potentially as well. We'll link
that's great.
links and areas as well to listen in the car or gym or wherever you might have that sorted as well. But yeah, links to mine and Jack's Twitter will be down below as well. So if you guys want to drop us a follow to keep tabs on when we're uploading next, when we're posting next, what we're doing, as well as just general me good vibes. Then Twitter links will be down below. Jack, thank you so much for coming on and talking about this. I'm looking forward. This is kind of the first time we've done this in a while, so it's been really fun. And we'll definitely have to do more as we go forward. Something about geeking out over Star Wars. It's always better with someone else. So
it's fun, man.
yeah, appreciate you, man. Let's wrap it up. Thank you
Pleasure,
guys
bro.
for watching. We will see you when we see you. I'll keep you posted on the next upload, like I said, on Twitter and everywhere. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you in the next one. May the force be with you always.
Always.